music, literature, film, all packed into one evening, mixing African themes with Western themes and ideas and styles with some amazing artists, all from the African diaspora. Now, this year's New York African Film Festival has an overarching theme, and that theme is the International Decade of People of African Descent, which means it's relevant to every single one of you in here. Seriously, every single one, because we all know that the first man came from Africa. And the first woman. So welcome, fellow Africans. So we're going to start with Les Nubians. We have Hélène and also Celia. Please come up here on the stage.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
Born in Paris, they've lived in Chad, now they live in New York.
Yes.
So,
Brooklyn.
Hélène and Celia are sisters. Mm-hmm. Now, as a group, I can't believe this, you are going to celebrate your 20th anniversary as a group.
Yes.
So what, you've been together since you were 2? What's
Two and a half.
What's going on here? When did you know that you had something that was kind of quite magical and potentially marketable?
I think that we knew we had something magical, and we were using this magic between us, because when we were playing music together, it was magical for us, it was soothing us. And we had a friend who was always coming at home and saying, "Hey, Les Nubian sisters, how you doing today? Hey, you know, people, they need to hear your music. You're singing here for us all the time. No, you need to be out. People need to be exposed." And he exposed us, literally, because we weren't really thinking about going outside. We're just singing for our friends. And he programmed us, a fellow doctor of the university, African doctor passed, and they had to raise funds to rapatrier,
to bring back the body, the
body.
corpse to Africa.
So all in the city of Bordeaux, all the artists gathered and did an event. And our friends came with a poster and said, "Hey, look, it's written, Hélène and Celia. Now you're singing." So we went and we sang. And the next day, Sud-Ouest, which is the newspaper of the region, talked about 2 young sisters that mesmerized the audience, etc., etc.
I love how you remember all of the reviews. We could just do reviews from the last 20 years.
I think that in the beginning, you remember the reviews, like especially those 2, because this one, the friend came with it. Like, it didn't occur to us that they were talking about the event on the newspaper. So you just come and, "Hey, see, so now you're opening for my group. Now you're going to play all the time." Then we had to figure out the name. And for us, in the démarche, in the endeavor of Les Nubians, we wanted to talk about Africa in a positive way, to bring another narrative about Africa and about the diaspora. And even as a young person, it was so important for us to tell our own stories by ourselves. And then, once again, and you know, not to be in the paranoia or the conspiracy theories, then the newspaper, other people were telling us how we should express our culture, what we could say about our culture or not. So we really, as Hélène said earlier, we really thought that we were putting the finger on something.
What were you looking for? What did you want to share with the audience?
We have a very uncommon trajectory. We're singing in French in America, and we're doing this since 20 years, which is totally uncommon. And it's amazing to see that nobody is after us is doing it that much. And I truly believe that the way that the fact that we were African, mixed, yeah, sure, but like that we grew up in Paris, because Paris was the capital of African art. I think that we could penetrate the market of America because we were we knew about the different vocabulary.
Yes, sing. You can clap, you all know the song, right?
Moye makeda o makeda ta da 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 da. On veut nous faire croire à des mythes perdus, des passages de l'histoire falsifiés et revus, de Ramsès à Mandela, que de vérité tue. En ignorant le départ, on est ressent.
Makeda était reine, belle et puissante. Salomon rêvait de sa peau noire. Je chante pour raviver les mémoires, exhumer les connaissances. Que la spirale du temps efface la reine de Saba. Makeda, vie en moi. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah. Powder Necklace. Has anyone read this? Okay, Ghanaian crowd over here. Go Ghana, go Ghana. All right. I've been reading this book, and do you ever read a book, sometimes you pick it up and it's almost like the writer's got it in your head and they are saying things that you would say if you had better punctuation and better vocabulary. This is this book. It is incredible. It is also the debut novel of our next artist. She's come a long, long way from Queens. Ekua Brew-Hammond, come up here on the stage, thank you. When did you realize that you were a really good writer? When did you realize, like, ooh, I'm kind of talented here?
Well, you know what? I've always loved to write, and I think I just think that I just kept at it and I kept doing it, and so I think practice makes perfect. Sorry for that trope, but yeah, you just keep doing it, and after a while you think, well, it's getting better. It's definitely better than it was. Mm-hmm. So
give us a little taster.
Okay, I'll read a little bit from Powder Necklace. And so this book is a fictionalized account of my experience attending secondary school in Ghana. And one of the sort of conceits in the book is that the girl, she understands the language Tree, but she pretends she doesn't understand it because it makes her more of a foreigner, and it releases her from having to do chores around the school and whatnot. And so she's been found out, and she's been punished. I studied Ivy and Hari as they got to work, loosening their belts and knotting them together to form a rope. Hari turned to me, "Your belt." I handed my belt over and watched them lengthen the rope before tying it to the bucket handle. I followed them to a hole hidden by a ring of weeds. Hari knelt so close that I got scared she would fall inside when she pushed the weeds aside and lowered the bucket. I heard the metal hit water and watched the muscles in her arms bulge as she pulled the bucket up. Ivy held the empty bucket down as Hari filled it with the murky yellow water she had just fetched. Hari fetched another bucket of water. Ivy opened the bag of dirty clothes Sister Penny had given us to wash. "Lila, we are through washing your things," Hari told me, as Ivy shook out the prints, blouses, slips, and nighties, some of them with my name magic markered at the inside collars. "Of course," I said, a little scared. As I watched them turn their knuckles and palms into washboards, scrubbing the fabric against itself in the sudsy water, I knew I couldn't do it. I stooped over one of the buckets and sprinkled some blue Omo grains inside. "Ah, you'll finish the whole box of soap." Ivy slapped the box of detergent from my hand. She stood over me as I dropped one of my prints into the water and began to massage it, then swish it around the thick suds. Hari started to laugh. "Is the dress your boyfriend? Look at the way you are caressing it." I ignored Hari, squeezed the dress free of water, and dumped it on the grass the way I saw Ivy do it. Ivy came over, "Like this, let me show you." I stepped aside, grateful that Ivy was a bruni for Skinner. Hari shook her head when she saw the relieved smirk on my face. "No, Ivy, let her do it." Bet she doesn't know how. She's wasting time. Harry yanked my bucket from under Ivy's hand. No, let the brony learn. Ivy sighed. It's about to be lunchtime. Harry twisted her head firmly and pointed at the bucket. Lila, start washing. I thought I would explode from the humiliation of it. This morning, someone had been assigned to wash my things. Now I was a small girl washer. You think we don't know why you pretended not to understand Tree? Harry stood over me as I bent to wash. You don't want people to look at us the way they look at you the way they look at us. Well, look what happened. Sister Penny found out I understand Tree. Now I have to wash my own clothes. And who should wash them for you, Brony? You think you're better than us, don't you? Because you were born in Britain. I didn't have to say yes because we all knew the answer. But for the first time I stood on the other nationals line at the airport, I wondered why I did think I was better than the Ghana-borns, and why most of them thought so as well. You're no better than us. You're just like us, Harry insisted, daring me to say the opposite. I nodded in agreement, but Ivy shook her head. No, she said, she's not like us. She's a brony. Thank you.
Where's home for you?
When I'm in New York, home is Ghana. When I'm in Ghana, home is New York. And I'm okay with that. I think when I was in Ghana, you know, especially when I went to promote Powder Necklace, people said to me, are you your brony? You're brony. Why are you talking about this Ghana like you know Ghana? And I would fight that, and I would, you know, speak my broken Tree, like, come on, guys, me Ghana ni. And now I'm okay with the fact that I'm between these two worlds, and I think it's an asset.
Born in Accra, Ghana, he now lives in New York. Brooklyn sometimes. The most memorable review. Share it with us. Is it good? Is it bad? What? Mediocre? Where?
No, it's horrible.
Good.
Yeah, I don't think you really remember the good ones because you're like, it's supposed to be good, you know? But I remember it was for Native Son, and the album had come out, and a lot of people have written really amazing things about it. So, you know, we were on this cloud, and my manager in Europe said, you got a review in the UK, but I'm not gonna send it. And I'm like, oh, come on, man, I gotta know. Are they feeling it? Is it bad? Is it good? He said, oh, you know what, just check your email. This guy said, it burns my heart to think of it. He said that the album sounded like a kid playing with kitchen utensils. No, he didn't end there. He said that you could not tell where the hip-hop's begun and the African elements I was trying to combine ended. And I was like, but that was the point. It was supposed to be like mixed up, real nice. My journey as a musician has always been trying to figure out what I could contribute, specifically to hip-hop. And in that regard, a lot of it was about rhythm and time signature. So, not to get like super deep or complex, most of hip hop music is on the 4/4 beat. So it's easy. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We all know that, right? And most of African rhythms, traditional rhythms, I should say, are more like a 6/8. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So when I started rhyming, all I was doing was just following the 4/4 structure of making music. So, and a lot of it was really just taking other people's rhymes, right? So kind of time went on, got more comfortable in my style and in my understanding of kind of rhythm, and what was important was trying to figure out what I could contribute. So then I start thinking to myself, how about this 6/8 that I've always known, you know? And so particularly when I was working on Native Son, the one that the guy completely destroyed, kitchen utensil album, that's kind of when I started thinking, how do I bring the 6/8 idea? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Ambassadors back and they killing it. Reflection of the gods in the pyramids. Remember who you are when you're hearing it. We time traveling back in the time in the 7 to that international flow with a banging instrumental. Revolutionary is intercontinental. We on another level, never meddle with the devil when we go in the battle. You know we never settle. Bow down to the high power, all down to the last hour. Way of the righteous might just be another light in the path to remind us. So shun ogun a shoot about the lie, yeshu vudun Allah yamaya shan go with Jehovah Yahweh Jah. Whoever you pray to, bow to the Most High, bow to the Most High, bow to the Most High, bow to the Most. You get the picture.
When one culture takes another culture, sometimes it's known as cultural appropriation. Can Africans do that with African Americans' culture?
I mean,
or is it just like recycling it back?
I think again, hip hop, unlike a lot of other music forms, you know, it's in and of itself, it's super inclusive. I mean, first of all, think about the fact that the godfather of the culture is an immigrant from Jamaica, DJ Kool Herc. If he never brought sound system culture to the Bronx, we wouldn't have hip hop. So the culture in and of itself is very rooted in and it's also sampling culture, which is another very important piece because it's bits and pieces of a lot of different cultures and ideas. You know, for me, visual aesthetic, it's very important in music, I believe. A lot of my work, well, first I started as a visual artist. Before I ever got into music, I was drawing and then, you know, so film for me has been a very important medium in which I could communicate what I couldn't communicate sonically. And so making films was kind of a natural progression, I'm sorry.
I love this audience, they're so helpful.
Come on.
Where were you when I can't remember words?
There
Like,
you go.
just come with
There
me.
you go.
Come with me in my life.
So you know, it's been kind of the natural thing to do, and these films have kind of helped me explain more what I couldn't explain musically.
I have to say that once, when I've seen Native Son, I love that scene in the palace where the whole dance, because you haven't seen the whole scene. I've seen it. And the whole dancing thing, scene, etc. It's fabulous, fantastic. Please make movies. I'll watch them. And shut that phone.
It's a different phone this time with a different
Oh, it
ring.
is?
I was obviously talking to myself at the beginning of this evening. Really. Honestly. Hélène, for you, when you were listening to the other artists speak, what were you like? Yes, yes.
No, I guess I'm very happy because it's a confirmation that everything that, you know, we literally put efforts in and our dreams are actually reality now, and to see like, you know, how many people are actually walking the same path. And it's very important, and thank you, Maën, again, for what you're doing, because, you know, like, because as Blitz is saying, like, it's not easy to be an artist, and we have like lots of alternative. We can do something else, like you, we've been to college, and we decided to do what we do because, yeah, I guess that, you know, like we feel like we have a vocation, like doctors or
A calling.
Or priests or something. We're preaching, and what is very important, Maën, that you do is that together we achieve more. Teamwork. Together, everyone achieve more. It's even more than that. And you allow us to recognize ourselves. You allow us to literally be in presence, your little piece of light and your little piece of light and your little piece of light. And and it's really beautiful to see
Ellen,
where we
you
are.
just made a black woman blush.
Where we are in
Right back
in
now, I can
2015.
feel the glowing cheeks. Yes, you have a question.
My question for you is maybe two parts. I'd like to know what your who nurtured you as young people to I guess have the confidence to express yourselves as artists, and what would you like to say or to, you know, because I feel like a lot of African artists, we weren't nurtured by our parents, we weren't encouraged. You know, it was better to be the doctor and the lawyer and the
It's
thing.
so beautiful. I would suggest you stop there because it's such a great question. I'm kicking myself that I didn't think of it, but I love it. Can I leave it there?
Sure.
And because we have
Yes.
5 people to answer it, 4 people. All right, Blitz, who nurtured you?
For me, it was my parents. I was really fortunate to have a father who was an attorney and a diplomat, though he was in a government that got overthrown. But
Oh, that's why you call Blitz the Ambassador.
did you put it together so easy? Damn. Anyway, but you know, my father had a plethora of books at home. So, you know, from a very early age, you know, I was reading Fanon, you know, like I knew things that my peers just had no clue about. My mother's an educator, and, you know, like very, very, very encouraging for me to, she's actually in the Native Son film. She was in the funeral procession. I remember, real quick, I was like, Mom, we need a coffin. She was like, did somebody die? I said, no. I said, we're gonna have these guys carrying this coffin. She was like, okay, what else? I said, I need you in it. She went and rallied all her friends in the neighborhood, and they're the ones dressed in the black, following the funeral. Anything that I've ever discussed with my mom, it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is, how crazy it is, she's always like, go for it. Just make sure you make enough money to feed yourself.
I guess we had like exceptional parents too. Our mom, the Cameroonian lady, was definitely, she loved Africa, and she passed us everything she could. The music, the culture, the history, the geography, traveling. We traveled, like we did amazing travel with her, and she definitely made sure that we knew about the world. Our dad, who is the French one, same thing. Our dad was born in 1928, so he lived the Second World War, and he's coming from Jewish descent. So we literally grew up with a man who reminded us about history and reminded us about people and what do people represent. He's the one who decided to go and live in Africa. He didn't follow my mom. My mom had nothing to tell him. He wanted to do it, and he moved to Chad. And so I guess the parents definitely offered us like that consciousness, that insight of humanhood, and how do we relate to each other. Now, our parents passed, so they couldn't really see what we did. Our mom saw a little bit of it, but our dad didn't. But I guess that if they were there, they would be like definitely supporting us. Even if mom said, music c'est bien, music is good, but can you be a lawyer and a musician, a pharmacist and a musician, a doctor and a musician? And you know what? It's very interesting because for 20 years, that saying, I was like, oh, come on, mom, you can do a life in music. We're independent artists now. She was right. So that's what I'm gonna say to my daughter. You wanna be a musician? You gotta be a doctor and a musician.
Nurture, I'll say, Mom said natural is beautiful. Our mom had a boutique called La Belle Africaine. So I think that says a lot. We are Nubian's princesses, now queens. She never wore makeup. She always had natural hair. She was going to the tailor to do her own outfit, never wore a jeans or anything. She was the true original, natural Nubian. She was a disciple of Cheikh Anta Diop, so she transmitted to us the possibility of reading. She was standing strong in Paris or everywhere, anywhere in this planet as who she is eternally. So I really think that mom, as us Les Nubians, mom is the root of who we are. Because to stand, to accept to be different, to accept to be original, to accept to be who you are unconditionally, this is strong. So, of course, through her, Miriam Makeba, of course. So she introduced us to Miriam Makeba, Harry Belafonte, all those artists that were beautiful, creative, but that were also people of meaning, people of struggle, people of standing. And that's why we couldn't make music that had no meaning, that had no goals. That Helen is the one who always remind that, you know, sometimes like, it has to have a meaning, you know, where are we going? And yes, it's that bar, you know, you're in a boat, you should not lose where you're going. And Blitz said it, yes. Why are you doing that? And you know, even in moments of, I call it moments of darkness, moments where you want to quit, moments where you wonder, because yes, we are talented people, we might be able to do many other things. To remember the why we're doing it always bring us back to work. And it's a blessing. I feel, I'm thankful.
I would just quickly say that it was my sister that really nurtured me. My parents, immigrants, wanted us to be a doctor or a lawyer or an investment banker. So my mother actually is a really good writer, and she actually wrote a ton of romance novels, and she'd sent them manuscripts out, and I came across them. It's so strange reading sex scenes that your mother wrote. But she, you know, she didn't really encourage it because she wanted me to write, to work and make money. But it was my sister. My sister was sort of the wild child, the rebel. And she said to me, you know, you can do this. You're good at it and you can do it. And I just started doing it. And now, of course, my mother's like, see, you got it from me. But, you know.
When a book is written 50 years from now about this moment, what do you want your lasting contribution to be to your respective genres, expertise, and so forth?
To bridge the divide between, you know, especially Africans in the diaspora and Africans on the continent.
Well, was that somebody passing the buck? What happened there?
I didn't expect her to
sibling
she never-
telepathy. What's going on?
She never she never stopped speaking. That's why I'm like, she's never silent.
That's why I was doing a pause. See?
Well, I guess Nana, you're right. I mean, I remember when we did Makeda, the first idea of the video was a cartoon, and it was the story of two sisters who literally was seeing like a dark, like a sorcerer, like tearing like a whole book and like spreading the book like that. And the book represented Africa and African history. And those two characters were going throughout the world. It's almost like a video game, like getting all those pieces of paper and put it back together.
All those pages.
So I think that, yeah, I would love to be part of fetching those papers and bringing the glue.
The late Dr. Maya Angelou says, without courage, we cannot practice any of the other virtues consistently. And I truly believe this is that, you know, as again, people with a disenfranchised voice, we can never forget that this is the most important thing that we can do on this planet, is to make sure that our voice counts. And more importantly, we can make it sustainable. Nana said something about the African Writers Series. I swear, that was like my education in amazing writing. But then the reality to think about that, when she said, when they go defunct, what happens is that we don't own much of the production and the distribution of our work. And so we are constantly relying on other cultures to create space, and more importantly, to continue our narrative, which is unacceptable. especially not in an age where you can say, I have an idea, and put it on Kickstarter, and people will throw you money before the idea even exists. It's ridiculous. So I think that we have to be very conscious about guarding this storytelling and create lineage so that new artists can come and follow through. So there'll never be this wide gap that we're trying to bridge now.
You said bridging the gap. I mean, I think that's what we're doing. We're not only bridging the gap, we are building bridges.
Strong.
Yeah.
I really want you to take in the artists. The title of tonight was Activism and Art, Personal Journeys in the Diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, your artists. Now, before I let you go home, I have to bring on Martin Bernetti here. Martin is hiding behind the corridor. This is the... Ooh, wow. Martin Bernetti and Brooklyn, obviously are the words to get applause. This is the 22nd New York African Film Festival. Martin has been here for all of those years. Every year I've asked Martin, so what is it? What is it about this next one that's special? This year, I know people are going to want to go and see some of the films. What can you say about it? Just a little teaser, little tantalizer.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to the Activism and Art, our personal journeys in the diaspora. Our website is up here, so and there are programs outside, so please come out and support. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you, Femi. Oh, and so I want to thank WNYC. They've been fantastic. I want to thank our supporters. I want to thank the Vilcheck, and I want to thank you, because you make it happen as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Femi.
Thank you.